We're inching ever closer to the start of the 2020 NFL season, and as players are preparing for a year without a preseason, I want to bring in WJZ's Mark Viviano for a taste of what we can expect from the Ravens this year. How's it going, Mark?
Going well, and I think the Ravens would tell you the same. I mean, this is a group that is really fired up, really optimistic. They're well aware that they're a Super Bowl favorite, and the head coach on down are saying we haven't proven anything yet. But those who saw this team win 14 games last year figures they're just as good, maybe even better, and we're going to start finding out real soon.
And I'm sure they're itching to get started because there was the cancellation, of course, of the preseason this year. So how are the Ravens adapting to really this unusual offseason?
Yeah, really unusual, obviously for everyone. One of the things all the players that I've spoken with applaud the degree that the Ravens have implemented the safety features in camp. They just feel like they're in a safer place than if they were at home. And that allayed a lot of fears of any guys who may have thought that they shouldn't play football during a pandemic. So on that side of things, they feel really strong. As far as the football side of things, I would say likewise. It seems like every practice seems very spirited. They're always talking about how productive their days have been of work. They've got a number of rookies that they're getting into the system. One of great significance is Patrick Queen, who will be a middle linebacker, expected to start right away as a first-round draft pick. But you mentioned no preseason games, and it'll be the rookies who I think are going to be most impacted by that. J.K. Dobbins, a running back, has looked really good in training camp. Of course, he was a standout at Ohio State. I think for a running back, the lack of preseason games probably less significant than for someone like a linebacker who is in an important position, a lot of thinking and reacting. But defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, his theory has always been put your guys in the best position to succeed. And they probably won't ask too much of Patrick Queen, and they got a lot of good players around him. So overall, just everybody seems to be very positive about what they've done to this point.
And Lamar Jackson, of course, the reigning MVP with high expectations entering this season. What should fans expect from him?
Believe it or not, he expects to be better. And you're talking about one of the greatest seasons of a quarterback in NFL history. We should say one of the most dynamic. Of course, he set the rushing record for quarterbacks. He also led the league in passing touchdowns. What he is focused on more than anything, and he mentions it probably every time we talk to him, is no matter how good you think he is, he wants to win a Super Bowl. He is driven with it. He is obsessed with it. He has seen Patrick Mahomes do it. And for all of his success that Lamar Jackson has had in 2 seasons, 0-2 in the playoffs. And that really eats at him. It eats at a number of these guys. As good as they played in the regular season, they have failed to produce in the postseason. One of the things specifically that Lamar Jackson has been working on is his passing game to the outside of the numbers. He has proven to be very efficient and accurate inside the numbers. Outside the numbers is where he is looking to improve, and he's been throwing a great ball in practice. Again, it's practice. This isn't the heat of a Sunday when the other team is, trying to knock you out. But this is all we can go on for now, and it looks pretty good for Lamar Jackson, who, again, expects to be even better than he was as a unanimous MVP.
And Mark, switching gears here, several big additions to the defense this offseason in Derek Wolfe, Calais Campbell, and first-round pick, of course, you mentioned Patrick Queen. So what are the expectations for that group under Don Martindale?
Even better is the expectation. And I think the first 2 that you mentioned, the veteran defensive lineman, defensive end Calais Campbell, 12 years in the league, obviously a team leader, but still at the top of his game, was voted to the Pro Bowl last year. Derek Wolfe, 8 years in Denver, coming off his highest sack season. These are guys who would be considered past their prime in football age, but seem to have a new life here in Baltimore, and they really add to a defensive line around Brandon Williams. You mentioned Queen at linebacker. That's going to be, if they have a soft spot, that might be it. But then behind the linebackers, they still have one of the best defensive secondaries in the NFL, and that's with the departure of Earl Thomas. that was quite a dramatic ending that Earl Thomas is gone, released by the team for conduct detrimental. So they feel like this could be addition by subtraction because Earl Thomas just wasn't buying into this team. Now Deshaun Elliott, who's only played in 6 NFL games in his career, is a starting safety alongside Chuck Clark. So as good as Earl Thomas was, he wasn't fitting in as far as this team. How good could Deshaun Elliott be? And then also Jimmy Smith, who's a proven corner, is transitioning to safety as well. You're going to see him playing both positions. So overall, starting up front, as you mentioned, those two guys, this should be a very strong defense.
Well, and it's an ever-improving AFC North. I think I know what the answer is going to be here, Mark, but can the Ravens stay ahead of the Browns and the Steelers?
They can, and they should. The one team that remains just the big question mark is the Cleveland Browns. They are loaded with talent. They have clearly failed to perform up to their expectations. Is this the year they do it? That's the question. I mean, is Baker Mayfield ready to show how good he was as a rookie, now even better? The talent that they've added around him. But then again, they're always in transition, a new coaching staff again. So it remains to be seen. And I think it's notable, and you touched on this earlier, no preseason games, there were no mini camps. So who benefits from that? I think the teams like the Ravens, who have pretty much all their team back from last year and all their coaching staff back from last year. The Browns are breaking in a new coaching staff. The Bengals have a second-year coach and a rookie quarterback. So a team like the Ravens should be well-suited to thrive in what are some difficult conditions. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, does have the return of Ben Roethlisberger, and they're always good. The Steelers and Ravens you can always pencil them in as the top two, and we'll see if it goes that way this year.
Well, are there any other big storylines this year as the Ravens are continuing training camp right now?
I think, we're going to be watching to see if this team can live up to expectations. And again, they've downplayed them because that's a target on your back. They acknowledge it. They are aware of what's being said, but they downplay the significance of anything that happened last year. But I still think, and I think anyone with a reasonable mind says, this should be a very good team. How will they handle it if they do struggle at times? How will Lamar Jackson look in year 3, given that teams now kind of have a greater sense for how he plays and what he can do? That being said, you can game plan all you want, but when Lamar Jackson has the ball and decides to run, good luck catching him. So, and one other name I should mention who gets a lot of conversation as a potential breakout, and that's Marquise Hollywood Brown, the wide receiver, second year out of Oklahoma, who had 7 touchdowns as a rookie last year, playing hurt. He's fully healthy. He's added 20 pounds, and he still has his speed. That's a guy to look for. If Lamar Jackson opens up his passing game, you can bet it'll be a big year for Marquise Brown.
We'll see how kind of all this plays out. Only a few weeks left until the start of the 2020 NFL season. Mark, thank you so much for your time and input on the Ravens season this year. All gets underway, by the way, September 13th at home against the Browns. Katie Johnston for WJZ.com.